Howdy, folks. How are we this evening? Welcome to CaliBased. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday. You made it. You made it to the end of the week. I'm so proud of everyone. I'm glad to see you. Welcome to the show. This is the show where we talk about things that make Californians uncomfortable, and we have a lot of that tonight. This is pretty much a California-focused show, because if you want to think about Anarcho-Tyranny, this is the state you should look to, because it's happening here, folks. If it's happening anywhere, it's happening here. We got plenty of examples of that. But before we go, I would love it if you could go down and give a gentle tap to that like button. It helps the algorithm. If you would like to help a young show grow big, I would much appreciate it. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, Anarcho-Tyranny. You know, you've been hearing the term thrown around a lot lately, and I hope it doesn't become another one of those cliche words, because it is a very good descriptor of something very specific that's taking place, and we'll get into it. But already you got people poo-pooing on it, and we'll get into it. But actually, before we even start off talking about Anarcho-Tyranny, let's get into this. Let's continue with some of the. Let's do a little update with the Twitter censorship stuff, because it went to a new place with all the Daily Wire stuff that happened recently, and I hadn't seen What Is a Woman yet. It's and it was better than I expected. It was that was really well done. It was really well done, and it's sad. It's horrible what we're doing. But as you guys heard, I imagine if you're on Twitter, you saw that Daily Wire and Twitter came to some sort of agreement that they're gonna, for their 1-year anniversary of What Is a Woman, they were gonna play it for free. They were gonna stream it on Twitter, and that was sort of a big deal, because Daily Wire hadn't done anything like that. I don't think Twitter's done anything like that before, and they were gonna do some like special channel for it or something, like some special promotion for it. But they came to an agreement that they were going to stream it for 24 hours for free. It wasn't going to be censored or anything like that. And well, that all changed. Daily Wire sent them the video for them to review it, and they did, and they said they put the kibosh on that. They said that it was going to be throttled. It wouldn't even be visible to Daily Wire's followers. So they would have to actually go to Daily Wire's page. It was screwed up, and Elon chimed in. But let's it all got sort of worked out, I guess. But there's still people getting censored on the platform. But let's just go to this quick CNN clip, because it's funny how they're reporting it. Let's see here. Yeah, freaking CNN. Exactly what you'd expect. Right on point. So here.
Meantime, Twitter's head of trust and safety telling Reuters that she has resigned from the social media company. Ella Irwin, who was in charge of content moderation, stepped down the same day that Twitter blocked and then unblocked access to an anti-trans documentary. Billionaire Elon Musk has faced criticism for lax protections against potentially harmful content since he took over back in October.
So immediately they put their spin on it, right? Anti-trans documentary. And let's just see what the tweets say below it. So the Daily Wire, they tweeted out their movie, and you can see it's not throttled anymore, but I think it still has a sensitive warning tag next to it. But Elon comments and says something about the Streisand effect, but nobody watches CNN. Haha, funny. But there's still people getting censored. It was sort of frustrating listening to Timcast last night, because they were talking about exactly this, and they were happy that Elon straightened this out, saying things are happening behind the scenes, and they don't think it's Elon and all that. But I'm still suspect, because Josie the redheaded libertarian talked about how when she got canceled, she reached out to Tim, and he put out a massive tweet, and that's how she got uncanceled, like I don't know, a few months ago or whatever. And her account, it got just all of a sudden she couldn't access it anymore. And well, that's the thing though. Like, we don't all have access to Tim Pool. We can't just, if we get canceled, we can't just put out a call to Tim Pool. So there's tons of people still getting, at least 1 week suspensions. And I imagine it's like YouTube's thing where they keep record of these. So it acts as like a strike. And eventually they'll just say, your account is banned, even though, so you can't say the W word. So remember, you can't say the W word that describes somebody that would bring you beer at a medieval times restaurant or a Renaissance fair. That word, If you call somebody, I dare you guys, Pete Grabber, I think you already tried. If you try that, just try it on Twitter. I dare you. Call somebody the W word that rhymes with wrench and describes somebody that would maybe bring you beer in medieval times. Yeah. All right. So it's at least encouraging that Elon fixed this, but at the very least, there's still people within Twitter doing their funny things. And, he's dealing with this whole crap with the EU. The EU's demanding that he censor stuff over there. And so we'll see how this works out. I don't know. So I'm being careful as I can for the meantime. But anyway, you guys should all, if you haven't already, watch What Is a Woman. It is it's good. It's really well done. It is sad, but it is also amazing. Just the pure narcissism within that movie or that documentary, everybody that he interviews, and just how much people dodge the question is insane to me. There's this thing that I don't want to overuse the term, but it is very narcissistic. It's a thing that people do where they try to overcomplicate an issue to make it sound like deep and profound or whatever, or like there's some sort of intellectual and they understand some grand concept that you don't. When you're not supposed to take something simple and make it complicated. You're supposed to take complicated things and make them simple. That's the sign of, I don't know, intelligence or honesty or something. What they're doing with this whole "what is a woman" thing, like when you ask them about it and the dishonesty, well, trans women are women. It borders on psychotic, because it's just once words break down and they have no meaning, and up is down and down is up, and nothing makes sense anymore. Like, there's men, there's women. Anyway, I encourage you guys to watch it. Good documentary. All right, let's get into. Oh, well, I didn't want that right there. Let me move this really quick. That was some good old cancel culture stuff that we had right there. So I think I might end up starting off every show with like a little bit of Yuri Bezmenov, because he's just so relevant today. And almost any lecture or talk that he's in, you listen to it and it's just 100% relevant for today. So I'm going to start off playing a little bit of this clip before we get into anarcho-tyranny, what it is, how it's taking place, and have a whole bunch of examples of that. And then hear also from the left and what they think anarcho-tyranny is. They call it a dog whistle. Another dog whistle, right? So let's listen to good old Yuri for a little bit.
Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that
I want you to hear that introduction just because he used a couple of words. I mean, you heard the disinformation, misinformation stuff right there, but you also heard his introduction. KGB, Soviet Union. That's the most relevant stuff. That's his background. KGB, Soviet Union, psychological warfare, essentially. He knows a lot about it. And this is almost 40 years ago. So just how many words do you recognize in what he's saying right here? How many buzzwords? It's disturbing that when you think about how this is 40 years ago, what he's describing, and then how what he's describing is taking place now, how much worse it is than 40 years ago.
I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
So immediately when he describes that, I think of people that took the vaccine and the refusal to look at evidence and everything that's come out, and it's like a defense mechanism. They call it cognitive dissonance, right? It's or they call it, Peter McCullough calls it mass formation psychosis, right? It's like a defense mechanism to justify injecting themselves with it, their kids with it. And, you know, if I took that, I wouldn't want to look at all the data that's coming right now and realize that I took that and they didn't have to. And there could still, I mean, it's still very early on. And we're not very far down the road. And we're seeing problems, obviously, already. So what he's talking about right there, like when somebody is properly subverted or completely subverted, it doesn't matter how much evidence you show them to the contrary, they will not believe it. And it's it's much easier to fool a person than to convince them that they've been fooled. That's exactly what he's talking about. Oops, I'm an idiot. I always do that. I meant to hit play. Let me bring that back. Stand by. Sorry, Yuri. All right, let's try this again.
It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already.
So the demoralization process, that's one of the phases that he talks about in Subversion. And I think when you listen to his talks, it's this, again, this is 40 years ago. So it's hard to apply to today in 100% accuracy. Like it doesn't fit perfectly because like what he's talking about applies more in California in certain stages than it would in, say, Texas, right? It's like California has been 100% demoralized while maybe Texas is still in the demoralization process. You know what I mean? So it doesn't fit perfectly, but I think we are currently in I think we are already demoralized. I think we're already to that point where it feels like there's no hope.
For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world, that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in the United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist.
If you know nothing about Marxism or collectivism, this is all going to mean nothing to you, really. So to recognize a lot of this crap, you really have to try to at least have a general concept of what communism, Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, actually a general concept of Marxism, I'm not just saying read, you can't just read the Communist Manifesto. That's not going to help you that much. You have to understand the concept. You have to get their their whole collectivist idea, and the idea that it isn't about raising up anyone, it's about bringing everyone to the same level, and that will mean bringing the top people down, or the top things down. It makes everything mediocre or subpar, and we're already starting to kind of see that, but I'll let him finish here.
Was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere.
Yeah, it's essentially what happens every single time, and it's being tried again. So how are they implementing all of this? How are they demoralizing us? Through what mechanism are they doing it? And that's why I bring up anarcho-tyranny. And I was looking for somebody that would, I just started, hunting around, seeing if there's a good video out there, a quick, concise video that would describe anarcho-tyranny. And I was shocked to come across a Tucker Carlson video. Couldn't believe it. It's not even from that long ago. This must have been right before the show ended, which, I don't know, kind of ironic, but sort of the perfect clip, and it's only a few minutes. So I'll let him talk about anarcho-tyranny, and then I'll let somebody rebut him and call the term racist, essentially. So let's listen to Tucker talk back when he was on Fox News. Remember that? Seems so long ago now. All right.
Carlson tonight. Happy Monday. So here's a story from over the weekend. At about 5 a.m. on Saturday morning in Manhattan, a parking garage attendant called Musa Diarra noticed a man peering into parked cars looking for things to steal. Now, that's a familiar scene in New York City. Alvin Bragg, who is the local Soros-funded DA, has decided that prosecuting car burglaries is a form of white supremacy. As a result, not surprisingly, car burglaries have risen quite a bit. Musa Diarra, the attendant, is not white, but apparently he's sick of watching other people get robbed, so he told the man to get out, leave the garage. In response, the man pulled out a handgun and fired 4 times. He hit Diarra in the head and the stomach. It was a nightmare. But somehow, Musa Diarra had the presence of mind to wrestle the gun from the man and then fire back before the man could shoot him or anyone else. By the time police arrived, both men were lying on the sidewalk bleeding. Now, what do you think happened next? In a sane, self-respecting society, Musa Diarra would have received a medal, if not a ticker tape parade. But in the city of New York, he was arrested and charged with attempted murder and illegal possession of a gun, the same gun that had been used to shoot him. Diarra woke up in Bellevue Hospital shackled to his bed. The New York Post ran this picture. It's of him sobbing. "I got bullets in me and I'm chained to a hospital bed," he said, "but I didn't do anything wrong." You can imagine his confusion. This was not the country he expected. And in fact, Musa Diarra is exactly the kind of person you want more of in your country. He's 57 years old and he's still working harder than most young people do. In fact, when New York shut down during COVID, as lawyers and nonprofit executives hid in their apartments, living on DoorDash and stockpiling surgical masks from Amazon, Diarra went to work every day, like Americans used to. The man who shot him, by contrast, does not have a history of going to work every day. His name is Charles Rody. We checked. He's got a rap sheet of nearly a dozen serious crimes that go back more than 20 years. And yet, as of Saturday at 5 a.m., he was not in jail. He was walking around New York with a gun looking for more things to steal. In the end, Alvin Bragg caved to public outrage, which was considerable, and dropped the charges against Musa Diarra. But he had already made the point very clear to everyone. In our new Soros-inspired justice system, decent people are the criminals, while the criminals are now a protected class. Here's how it works. The people in charge unleash chaos in our cities, but if you dare to protect yourself or your family from that chaos, you wind up in handcuffs. What is this? Well, the name of this system of governance is anarcho-tyranny. You get state-sponsored anarchy accompanied by political tyranny. Since taking office, Bragg has done his best to increase the anarchy. He's increased the number of felony charges his office drops by nearly.
Now, some of you anarchists out there might hear the term state-sponsored anarchy, and that sounds weird. It does sound weird. I get it. Anarchy is the absence of the state, and that's exactly the thing. It's the application of the state's laws, it's the weaponization of the state's laws against, the way it's being applied now, against the middle class, essentially, and just completely decriminalizing violent crime. And yeah, that's essentially state-sponsored anarchy, where it's everything is legal for a certain subset of people. And yeah, we're seeing that a lot on the streets of San Francisco right now. If you're homeless, you can do whatever you want on the streets of San Francisco, on the streets of LA. It's starting to look like that on the streets of Philadelphia as well, and I imagine other places. But you can do whatever you want. And meanwhile, there's still people driving around in those little three-wheel carts that'll give you a ticket in San Francisco if you don't turn your wheels the right direction against the curb. You'll get like $100 and something ticket, probably $200 and something now. Meanwhile, right behind you is a car that's broken down, that's got a tent, somebody living out of it, that's been parked there for a year in front of a parking meter. But they won't do anything to them because they know they can't pay. They can get the money out of you while you're there to work. So anyway, I'll let Tucker finish here.
Nearly 40%. That includes almost half of all drunk driving charges. It's no longer really a crime to drive drunk in New York City. That's the anarchy part. But for those who step outside the political lines, it is tyranny. You'll remember the middle-aged bodega clerk called Jose Alba from the Dominican Republic. Bragg sent him to Rikers Island, one of the worst prisons in the world, for daring to defend himself against a lunatic who was trying to murder him. So now this very same system, the system that imprisoned Jose Alba and chained Moussa Diarra.
So you guys remember that one? Jose Alba, the bodega clerk that declined chick's debit card got declined for like a bag of chips or something. And he says, sorry, it got declined. They got in an argument. She ends up stabbing him. Well, she calls her boyfriend in there, who's towering above him, giant dude. And yeah, she already stabs him. He's attacking him. And yeah, bodega dude stabs the dude attacking him in self-defense. And he ends up dying. And they arrest bodega clerk guy, Alvin Bragg. Again, same DA going after Trump. So and all these DAs act in the exact same fashion.
To his hospital bed, this Soros-inspired and backed system is putting Joe Biden's main political opponent in the upcoming presidential race on trial for a crime that's not actually a crime. This is the political tyranny part of anarcho-tyranny. So for our existing legal system, this appears to be a point of no return. And you would think the media would point that out. Even if they support it, this is a big change from the way the country has run for hundreds of years. But no.
So you also have, the January 6th prisoners that are people that are getting insane sentences for, like the guy that sat at Nancy Pelosi's desk and put his feet up on it. And he got like 5 years almost, or 4.5 years or something like that. And then, you have the people that were literally firebombing the Portland Federal Building for like a year. Seriously, like a year. Firebombing it. Molotov cocktails. Trying to burn the thing to the ground. And those people were arrested and released. No charges. This is 4 examples of anarcho-tyranny right now. And the definition would just be the application of the state against a certain political affiliation. And then the absence of law for everyone else. That's off the top of my head, but I think it's fairly accurate. And then that's four different examples of it right there. The guy that got murdered over the guy looking in cars, and then the bodega clerk, Donald Trump, and then the January 6th people versus the Portland rioters. So all right, that's the definition and some examples of anarcho-tyranny, and I believe it's being applied to bring about this whole subversion and demoralization, part of the demoralization process of subversion. Yes, I do think all of this is intentional and is being done by specific people and for a specific reason. And it's really obvious to see now, especially after COVID and everything that was done with the vaccines. But we'll hear at least the left call us, say how we're wrong here. I'm sure this person with like 100-something thousand followers will have a really in-depth explanation of why anarcho-tyranny is just a right-wing conspiracy theory and it's not really a thing. So I'm sure this wonderful individual will be able to tell us more about it. So let's go to Kat Abu. I've never heard of her, but she seems like a prominent figure. So let's go to her, see what she has to say. This, I'm sure, is going to be super in-depth. All right. What do you have for us, Kat? Come on, Kat. All right, here we go.
Tucker Carlson debuted his newest, very scary phrase last night, and surprise, surprise, it was originally coined by a rabid white nationalist. The term is anarcho-tyranny, because if there's one thing anarchists love, it's tyranny. Tucker used this phrase to talk about the Trump indictment.
You get state-sponsored anarchy accompanied by political tyranny.
You gotta love state-sponsored anarchy. Without the state, you've just got sparkling chaos. Now, Tucker is obviously counting on his viewers to not think about it too hard, but he's also hoping that the origins of the phrase work as a...
See, so she seems to think that she has an in-depth understanding of anarchy, and I would love to have a conversation with her about that. But she's doing this whole... It's almost a straw manning, because he's not saying it's anarchists. It's the application of anarchy to a specific group, and using the application of state-sponsored violence against the other part of the group, or the other group of people. It's not what she's trying to describe it as.
Dog whistle for his far-right viewers. Because as dumb as the term anarcho-tyranny is, it originates from a prominent white nationalist writer named Sam Francis. He's been described as the philosopher king of the far-right, and he coined the term in 1990.
So I just started looking into this guy a little bit because I'd never heard of him, so dog whistle for the far-right, white supremacist. Oh, this guy sounds dangerous. And then she says these exact things. That's exactly what's on the Wikipedia. She went to Wikipedia. She just read it off of Wikipedia. That's the depth of research she did for this.
94 with a very angry article titled Anarcho-Tyranny USA. Want to guess what got him all riled up? Seatbelt laws. I'm not kidding. The entire first page is him whining about seatbelt laws, and the article just spirals from there.
Seatbelt laws sounds super white supremacist. I'm not a fan of seatbelt laws either.
Francis rants about crack houses and gun control, but the staying power was in that phrase at the top, anarcho-tyranny. I mean, it sounds scary, I'll give him that, which is probably why D-list Republicans have used it as a hook for their tired columns for the last 30 years. The phrase has been applied to BLM protests, COVID restrictions, and now, of course, the Trump indictment. And Tucker will
Yeah, those are all excellent examples of it.
undoubtedly use this phrase again. It sounds way too menacing to leave it on the bench, and it's a perfect rallying cry for his far-right viewers. But wherever you hear the phrase anarcho-tyranny, just remember, Tucker and his disciples are using this term on purpose. They're merely trying to fill the shoes of the white nationalists who came before them.
So this is just another tactic as well, and it's very effective. So you just throw the word like white supremacist, Nazi, all this crap at these terms, try and associate them. So then everybody's scared to have any sort of affiliation with those words or talk about them or defend them in any way. So I didn't see any examples there or refuting anything that Tucker Carlson actually said. And then she actually threw up examples of anarcho-tyranny, how it's being applied. She didn't take like the definition of it at all and break it down. She didn't refute anything that was said at all right there. In fact, she gave more examples of it, like the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, how that was very clearly self-defense, and they went after him anyway. Like Daniel Penny, like Daniel Perry. These are all, they're making self-defense illegal. Like especially the Daniel Perry one. That's the one out of Austin where he shot the guy in self-defense. He's going to get 25 years. This is anarcho-tyranny. We're describing a very specific thing here, and your defense is we're far right. Okay, all right. I'm just going to be comfortable with you calling me that, and I'll keep talking about things that are actually happening. So thanks, Kat. That was wonderful. I'm going to give more examples of anarcho-tyranny because, yeah, that didn't make a ton of sense what she just said right there. All right. So, all right, we'll go to Bill Milligan. And this is all California stuff. This whole episode is just going to be California stuff and how anarcho-tyranny is being applied to subvert and destabilize our state to the point where everything has collapsed. And what is the goal? Implement a new form of governing, maybe. I don't know. Collectivism. It's San Francisco's actually, I'm sort of white-pilled about San Francisco right now because of Brooke Jenkins and what's happening currently. But I feel like it's just going to be a Band-Aid, but we'll get into that in a minute. We're going to go down to LA right now and have another example of some good old anarcho-tyranny. I wonder how many times I'm going to say that word tonight. I'm going to try to stop saying it so much now. All right, let's go over to Bill Milligan down in LA because there's plenty examples of the application of the state for political purposes right now. What up, Hallucinate? Terry Wallace, Pete Grabber, Lonnie, how you doing, man? All right. Let's see. All right, let's see what Bill has to say here. All right, this is just a little thread. So LAPD arrested a man for stabbing the neck of a construction worker, nearly killing him. Despite prison recommendation from probation department, LA District Attorney George Gascon administration agreed to, despite a prison recommendation from probation department, LA District Attorney George Gascon's administration agreed to give him diversion instead. He is now charged with murdering his neighbor last week. And here's the article. Stephen Sutherland was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon with GBI in November of 2020. He felt the worker made too much noise. Probation department recommended prison, warning in writing that he is violent and was a risk for future outbursts. In 21, he received mental health diversion. This is a statement from the LA County Probation Department. The defendant must be held accountable for his violent actions. The defendant's conduct is alarming and disturbing. This deputy is concerned about the possibility of future violent outbursts. Okay. So Sutherland is now charged with fatally shooting his upstairs neighbor, Jennifer Gomez, multiple times in her own apartment last Tuesday. LAPD found 19 shell casings at the scene. He previously confronted her about noise. Gomez's family has set up a GoFundMe. So exactly what they said was going to happen happened again. And it's like the same thing. Basically, somebody was bugging him, so he killed her. He almost killed the construction worker because he was bugging him. What did he say the construction worker did? He made too much noise. Okay, so this guy was triggered by noise somehow. And like you got to be asking, because I do all the time, like, why? What is the point of this? What is the point of going easy on violent criminals? And, prison reform, policing reform, all that. Okay, fine. Have a conversation about it. But you're talking about attempted murder. You release him and he goes out and literally murders somebody. And this isn't like, it's a 15, 16-year-old kid that, stole $20 from the cash register. It's and the cops came and arrested him, and they decided not to press charges to go easy on him. He just lost his job. That's not the situation here. The dude stabbed someone in the neck and tried to kill him, and they released him. And then he murdered a woman for making too much noise. Okay. All right. That's LA. That's the LA district attorney, a George Soros funded district attorney, much like Alvin Bragg, a George Soros funded district attorney. This isn't like a conspiracy theory. George Soros, you could, and like the Krasensteins will come out and say it's not. There's no like direct funding from George Soros. It's like George Soros has these organizations, and they give them directly to organizations for the campaign of these individuals when they're running. So he helps get them in place. It's really sick. And it's really sick when you see that all of the DA's behavior is the exact same way. And then you can't help but have a conspiracy about it. Why? What is the purpose? Why does George Soros want to put DAs in place in our biggest cities, New York, LA, Philadelphia, like Chicago, the most well-known cities in America, and implement policies that will lead to absolute, anarchy, but not real anarchy, state-sponsored anarchy. I'm trying not to say the term too much tonight. So, all right, that's example number 5 or 6 or 7 already, I think. So let's go to another one, because there is plenty of them. This isn't the state. This is privatized anarcho-tyranny here. I know that sounds even funnier, right? Wait a minute. Actually, no, that sounds more accurate. Privatized anarcho-tyranny. So I don't know if you guys heard about this whole Lululemon thing. It's pretty impressive. I got a quick video to show on it. Let's go to Mike Spereza over on Twitter here. Let's see. Right. Yeah, so these dudes came in and robbed Lululemon, and the employees called the cops on them, and Lululemon fired the employees because it's against company policy.
No, seriously, get out.
2 Georgia women say they were fired from their jobs at Lululemon after calling police to report this robbery, which one of them caught on camera.
No, you can't.
Jennifer Ferguson and Rachel Rogers describing to NBC affiliate 11 Alive Atlanta the horrifying moments the merchandise at the Peachtree Corner store was stolen.
They swiped until they couldn't hold any more product and ran out the door.
We didn't really feel very protected or know what else to do.
The women say they were fired from their jobs after they decided to call the police about the shoplifting, something they say they were told is against company policy. So what are they supposed to do instead?
You kind of clear a path.
So I feel like there's probably already a law against a company from keeping their employee from calling the cops. Those employees were in danger. You're being robbed. You don't know the threat level. They're women. There's 2 men in there robbing the store. You don't know if they're going to say, "Give me the money out of the cash register," even though there's no freaking cash registers anymore. But you don't know if they're going to hold them up and ask for their purse. Like, why should they not call the store? You don't know if they're going to come back later. How, as a company, are you going to keep your employees, Lululemon, from calling the police after they've been robbed? That you're putting your employees in literal physical danger, and you fired them. Oh, I hope they sue you so much. Oh, they owe you money, you girls.
For whatever they're going to do. And then after it's over, you scan a QR code.
Rogers, who says she's worked at the company for 5 years, claims that the store has been dealing with thefts for months, recalling another incident.
Someone like sent me a picture of the front entrance table, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we just sold all the product, like good job. And they were like, no, like someone just came in and stole everything.
But this was the first time she knows of someone at the store calling police, which local authorities confirm. The Fayette County Sheriff's Office says 3 men have been charged with theft by shoplifting and theft by receiving stolen property from that incident. And they're currently in the Fayette County Jail. Videos of brazen shoplifting have gone viral from stores across the country. And it's common practice for retailers to tell their employees not to intervene.
80% of retailers are experiencing violent incidents. One is to tell folks you should not be interfering or apprehending folks if you do not have the training.
And while a punishment after calling the police for shoplifting might be head-scratching to some, retail trade organizations say it might be more common than you think, because some stores have relationships with law enforcement and don't want to waste resources on petty crime.
They don't want to waste their time on what may be an entry-level shoplifting issue when they could be doing something else, because then they're not necessarily going to be as quick to respond the next time when they.
So decriminalization of this exact thing. And so it's not just Walgreens anymore going in and stealing shampoo and toothpaste. Now it's, high-end retail theft.
You do need someone there.
Ferguson and Rogers say their actions led to their termination for vague reasoning.
They have a no tolerance policy.
They said because they have a zero tolerance policy.
We tried calling the store and reaching out to Lululemon's corporate offices and did not hear back. Both women now adjusting to their new lives after the April incident.
That was my sole income. So I did have to file for unemployment and use all of my savings to pay for my car payment.
It put us in a bit of a bind. My husband is self-employed.
So right on, Lululemon. Your employees go through an extremely traumatic experience, and then you fire them and make it so they can't pay their bills. Stand up move. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, you guys, your DEI score probably went up. So excellent work, Lululemon. Way to really stand up for your employees there. Man, that is dirty. It's just, I can't stand some companies, man. So, yeah, there's plenty more. There's plenty more. You can. This is just. This is another one. It's almost. It's not. This is a different incident. This isn't even the same incident, but you would think it is. Maybe it's the same people. I don't know. I don't even know where that Lululemon was. I thought that was over in the Black Hawk area, San Ramon, but I could be mistaken. This next one I think is out of Orange County. So let's go over to Crazy Clips on Twitter. Sounds like a weird haircut place. Yeah, it's just a random robbery.
You guys are really awesome. Thank you so much for your business. Thank you so much.
So I guess that was like $500,000 worth of stuff that they stole right there. That was a super high-end store. I mean, it's a high-end store when you got this dude. Look out, this this security dressed in a suit. So I'm sorry, that wasn't out in Orange County. I think that was out in Malibu, is what somebody told me in the comments anyway. But I mean, it's insane. So now these groups of people that are going to stores and running in and robbing that places that have probably been doing this all through COVID, because the masks just made this go off the rails. Now they're traveling to different locations. They're actually probably scouting locations out. This is legit organized crime. So this is what California is perpetuating, and they won't go after these individuals. So whatever store this was, how much money was this? $500,000 in luxury items stolen in seconds. So, I mean, that's a $500,000. Maybe they will actually go after him, but California's decriminalizing anything less than $1,000. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go hard after him for that. And this is just a quick one over from K-Ron Channel 4. This happened today. It's not a big deal, but it's just sort of give an example. So this is just a woman that got pulled over, and they found her with $1,000 worth of Walgreens items. Man, $1 too much. Should have put one of those bottles of shampoo back. Man, you screwed up. Because if it was $999, it would have been a misdemeanor. Like, the cops wouldn't even go after her. So I guarantee, I mean, they'll probably impound her car, but she'll get released same day. They won't. Nothing will happen to this chick. So, maybe Walgreens will get their stuff back, but yeah, Walgreens in California are just getting ransacked. Not in my town though. Well, not yet. It'd be pretty weird if people started traveling up to the mountains to do this, and mountain folk will not put up with this crap. You're gonna run into a random dude at the store that will definitely keep people from leaving with stolen merchandise. People are starting to stand up to this crap too. There's a lot of these videos going around. Employees keeping people from stealing stuff, customers keeping people from stealing stuff. So the people are getting sick of this stuff. That's for sure. But we got plenty more examples of Anarcho-Tyranny. Let's go over to this is just his name on Twitter. Don't cancel me. Domestic terrorist on Twitter. And all right, we're gonna get into some San Francisco videos now. Let's go to the city. I wanted to show the effects of what happens when you decriminalize fentanyl, specifically fentanyl and open air drug trades. Like, it's amazing how much footage you can go on Twitter and find of drug deals. Like, the whole thing online, the exchange of the drugs and the money. There's a page called Tenderloin Tube or there's a couple of them actually that that's all they do is just show videos of drug deals. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Let's go over here to domestic terrorists on Twitter. And many of you guys will know this McDonald's on 24th and Mission. Look at this. This is banana balls. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. My God. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. I got plenty of examples of this. The city is bananas right now. And there's so many people that are like, oh, the Tenderloin was always bad. It always had that history. It's like they're trying to act like this hasn't gotten worse. The Tenderloin, actually, this dude I follow here on Twitter, World Peace Movement. He just said that fentanyl wasn't always in the Tenderloin. And what fentanyl does to people is a whole new thing. And another part of the decriminalization, specifically not going after the fentanyl dealers, is bananas. And I played that video of Chesapeake, why he said he wasn't going after the fentanyl dealers in San Francisco. He said because they were human trafficked here. Because most of the fentanyl dealers in San Francisco are illegal immigrants from Honduras. That's another thing that isn't talked about a ton. A lot of this is, it's the Hondos. They are supplying a lot of this stuff, and it's bad. It's really bad. All right, we're gonna go over to clean up Somo West now in San Francisco, because there's plenty of these videos. It's so bad. Here it is. Oh, wait, I got two of them. Yeah, this one. Yep. So this is right next to a school. Just driving down the street. So, that'd be disturbing to see once in a blue moon, randomly in a big city once. You'll see this on every block, this kind of craziness. People absolutely losing their minds, lighting stuff on fire, breaking stuff. Like everywhere you go in the city, there's somebody doing something crazy everywhere you go. It's banana balls. All right, enough of that one. Another one, I think. Oh, no, let's go over to Tenderloin too, really quick. I think this. Oh yeah, let's. You guys want to see a drug deal? This is like actual drug deals. It's crazy how you can figure out who all these people are without even going to the city. Like you can identify these people, and like, all right, that's somebody that needs to be arrested. All right. Let's go to Tenderloin too and watch a drug deal. So it's wide out in the open, right on the street corner. Rolls right up. See, one guy goes and he collects the money. So the first dude goes up. There's an exchange. They're all on scooters. You got this guy chilling in the back. All right. And this guy walks up. There you go. And you got a drug deal. And this guy don't got a mask on. You can see a scooter. Like, you got this guy in his Adidas jacket. It's like navy blue. You can ID this guy super easy. It's so easy. Like, I'm doing this from Santa Cruz. I'm doing it remotely. And this is just, like, the cops are, I'm going to say it. The cops are useless in San Francisco. And yes, they're aware of it. They know it's that they're not prosecuting, but I'm not going. I don't understand how you could be a cop in San Francisco right now. Like, knowing that you're going around and you're the only people that you actually go after are middle-class people that barely did anything wrong. And the only thing that they did wrong is like an arbitrary law, like parking or some crap like that. It's how much they go after the middle class in San Francisco is insane. And it's no It's no wonder that it's completely disappearing, and all you have is, Pacific Heights and the Tenderloin. Like, that's all you got. It's pretty bonkers. I got more of the city. All right, let's go over to World Peace Movement. This is gnarly. And these videos aren't like cherry picked out. This is his normal everyday walk to work. Like, this is an everyday thing. All day. You can go there right now and see exactly what I'm about to show you. It's freaking insane. Look at this. I don't want to play the music. It's just freaking zombie land. Like, this is madness. Every single one of these people's on fentanyl. Look at the trash everywhere. Like, you don't know if these people are dead. That dude very well could be dead. He checks on people too. This dude, his name's Darren. He's super cool, super nice dude. Like, yeah, he's getting all this footage, but he legitimately, like, he kicks this person right now. Like, it's probably annoying to them because they're trying to sleep or whatever, but he's legit checking if they're alive. And yeah, people will straight up walk right past dead bodies and not know it. It's madness. Then you got all these outside eating areas that they built for COVID where they took parking away. These all used to be parking spots. And now all they are is these like shelters for strung out fentanyl people. I mean, yes, the Tenderloin's always been rough, but it actually had a charm to it. Like it being rough and grimy, there was a little bit of charm to it. You don't want to go anywhere near there now. It's so bad. It's so freaking bad. All right, I think you guys have seen enough of this one. It's not just the Tenderloin. Nob Hill, Mission. I'm not even from San Francisco. I don't live there, but I used to have to go there a lot before I got fired because of the San Francisco policy. I got more. There's more San Francisco. All right, let's go over to JJ Smith. This dude's super cool. This dude like legit helps people out. This is right next to like a really nice park in San Francisco too. And what's actually funny to me here is, I don't know if you guys know what we're looking at here. Do you guys see this? Like, it's an embankment. It's like open aggregate. There's brick leading up to it, open aggregate. And they got these metal things that they put in. Do you guys know what those are for? Those are to keep skateboarders away from this. That's what these are for. And it's so funny because all the places that you see these things that they installed to keep skateboarders away, they are all, for lack of a better term, infested with fentanyl people. Like, everywhere they put these places to keep skateboarders away. And if they didn't put those there, skateboarders would be kicking these people out so they could skate there. And the skateboarders would be buying sodas and food and stuff from local places, stimulating the economy and like actually giving people in San Francisco a sense of security. I think people in San Francisco probably feel safer around skateboarders than strung out homeless fentanyl people. All right, well, let's watch this little video first.
Hey, y'all gotta pack that up there. I gotta pack this stuff up right here in front of this park.
Come on. Hey, you can't be right here in front of the park smoking dope.
Park, man. It's time to get up.
It's time to go.
Time to get up, bud.
Hey, it's time to go. Hey, we gotta move this couch up out of here from in front of the park.
All right, you got it.
So you guys saw that, right? Just like crack pipe right out. This is open air drug use, open air drug dealing. It's completely decriminalized. They're not going to do anything about it. He's just sitting there wide out in the open on the street with a crack pipe in his hand, just doing it right there, anywhere they want to do it. It's madness. Like, I remember back in the day when you would be worried in Golden Gate Park, looking around, making sure nobody sees you smoking a joint. This was just freaking 20 years ago. It's 15 years ago. You'd be making sure nobody saw you smoking a joint. These guys are doing crack and fentanyl wide out in the open without a care in the world. I can't do it, man. It's insane. And this dude JJ is super cool. Like, if cops aren't going to do what he's doing, he's going up there, and that takes balls too. Just going up and, hey, no, out of here. Because he was right next to a really nice park. I should have let the video play longer, but I'm getting crunched for time here. He was right next to a really nice park where kids are there with their mom and, like, you know, moms with kids in a stroller and crap like that. And you got dudes doing crack right around the corner. And JJ will go up and just boot their ass out of there. So nice work, JJ. He's a cool dude. He also helps people out. Like, he doesn't just kick people out. So, all right, let's go over to Better Soma really quick, because this is, man. And it's not like these, it's not like homeless people stick together. I'll give you, well, I won't even tell you how. Just show you. This is brotherly love right here. Thinking about it. Looking around.
Oops. Just gonna look through his stuff. That's what he's thinking. Oops. I'm gonna take that. That looks good. Take that. Stealing from our most vulnerable.
He goes and he puts it down. He comes back for more.
He's not done taking things. He's not done taking things yet. There's more stuff to get. And the guy who's lying on the ground.
Yeah, you know, so I'm just gonna say, since crime is pretty much decriminalized, instead of recording, if you were to walk over there and, I don't know, move your foot in a certain motion really fast, you could do that instead of sitting there and recording. You could kick someone in the head if you wanted to, if you were so inclined. So just sitting there, watch a dude get robbed.
Look, he's gonna go right in his pocket. Look at this. Going right in his pocket. Buddy. Oh, there's that. He's gonna take that. Look at this. This is madness. Get your hand out of his pocket.
Well, finally you say something. Jeez. All right. At least he said something there at the end. So, folks, this is all San Francisco, and these are all recent videos. These aren't like over the course of the last 3 years. This is all recent stuff. This is stuff you can see if you go there right now. This isn't cherry-picked stuff. It's madness. San Francisco is out of control. Oakland is out of control. San Jose is a little bit better. Santa Cruz is out of control. Santa Cruz is absolutely out of control. Let's go to Better Soma again, because I go to a lot of the same people. They get great footage. Better Soma runs a deli there as well, so go get a sandwich from them. I want to. So this is just, you know, he's probably standing right out in front of his deli recording somebody getting carried out on a stretcher dead because they OD'd. I should have pulled up the figure for you guys, but you guys should go and look up how many people died in San Francisco of COVID over the whole thing. How many people died? And then in that same time period, how many people died of fentanyl? And then think about the amount of energy and emphasis people put on the vaccine and masks, the people in San Francisco, how much people completely lost their minds about the vaccine and masks, and then how much they lost their minds about the fentanyl crisis. They don't care about that. They didn't care about that. They don't care about it until it affects them. Even though the mask or the vaccine, somebody else taking a vaccine doesn't affect you. San Francisco people many San Francisco people became the worst of humanity during COVID with the masks and the vaccine and how they treated people. What people in the Bay Area and California became was nothing short of evil. It was absolute madness. Not letting people eat inside. People that wanted the unvaccinated arrested. It's so I can't wait to do my COVID episode. It's going to be a long one. I might have to do a multiple part one. All right, I'm not done. I'm not done with San Francisco. I'm not done with you yet. I do have to go over to Oakland as well because there's more madness out of there. All right, last one. We'll go to Clean Up Summer West. There's a bunch of good people to follow on Twitter if you want. This is Clean Up Summer West over on Twitter. And all the people I've showed tonight always get great footage of the madness that's going on in the city. So just people don't even notice anymore. They just walk right by. You don't know if this guy's, he's not moving at all. Is he breathing? It's just everywhere you go. You walk 100 feet away, you're going to see another person lying on the ground, completely incapacitated. Around the corner, you're going to see another one. It's sad. It's a complete zombie land in San Francisco. All right. I want to go to Oakland really quick before we come back and talk about London Breed and what she's doing about this, because we all heard about the National Guard and the California Highway Patrol. They're supposed to fix this stuff, right? Well, we'll get to that. We will get to that. But first, let's go over to Kevin Dalton and show some awesome stuff that's going on in Oakland. More Anarcho-Tyranny. All right, so this is the perfect example. So eight tweens, so young teens, 8 young teens were arrested for attacking and robbing nearly 40 people in Oakland, including a 63-year-old woman, and they're already back on the streets because, of course, they are. That's Kevin Dalton's tweet.
Police say the teens and tweens attacked people on the streets and then stole their belongings. Police say they are responsible for nearly 40 crimes. Here's NBC Bay Area's Valina Jones in Oakland.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. But if there's no time, go ahead and do the crime, right?
A group of teens accused of nearly 40 Oakland robberies, including one where a 63-year-old woman was attacked in Rockridge last Sunday, are walking free tonight, the lack of punishment prompting concern and frustration from residents.
It's a terrible situation. I don't think these kids need to have their lives ruined, but they shouldn't have done what they did.
And it doesn't make people feel safe.
It was a crime spree that hit nearly every part of the city. In total, 8 teens. That adult was charged with possession of stolen property, according to Oakland Police Officers Association President Sergeant Barry Donnellan.
They shouldn't have their life ruined. It's, jeez. I'm going to bite my tongue on that one.
But it's unclear if the kids will face any charges. We reached out to the district attorney's office, but did not hear back. Donnellan says despite OPD increasing resources, they're seeing the same results.
Well, what you're seeing is a revolving door justice system. They're coming right back out and doing the same thing. The other aspect of this that's very concerning is the number of firearms that are involved.
More than 900 robberies in the city this year make up a 7% increase over the same time last year, according to crimemapping.com. Nearly 60% of those crimes involved a gun.
We're out there making the arrests, tracking down the suspects, but unfortunately, they're not being charged.
Last night, frustration boiled over in a meeting with Oakland leaders and police. Residents and business owners demanded the city take more action to address the uptick in crime.
We're almost encouraging this type of behavior, and we're not doing the little things.
Last week, Mayor Sheng Tao vowed to provide more resources to help address.
So he puts a ton of emphasis on how many guns these are involving. Also, all of these are illegal gun cases. None of these people obviously have their concealed carry permits. And I don't know if you saw the pistol that guy had at the In-N-Out Burger in Alameda there, over near the Oakland Coliseum, had an extended magazine in it. Those are illegal in California. So they make it virtually impossible to get your concealed carry. You can't have an extended mag. You can't even modify it. If you get your concealed carry, you can't even modify your pistol in any way. You can't even put a red dot on it. Like, you can't do anything to it. Anyway, they talk about how these crimes are committed with guns, and they go the exact opposite direction in terms of allowing you to defend yourself. You can't carry a gun. If you actually do defend yourself, that dude in San Francisco, actually, I'm sorry, that wasn't in San Francisco. That was a different state that I started with, or was it? The guy that Tucker was talking about that noticed the guy peeping in windows of cars. He said something to it. The guy pulls out a gun and shoots him. The guy actually survives, wrestles the gun away, ends up in shooting the attacker. And then they arrest him. That's anarcho-tyranny. It's absolutely insane. So I imagine the same thing would happen in California. If you had your concealed carry and these guys come, they're pointing a gun at you, and instead of just turning over whatever they're demanding for, you domed them. Yeah, they're going to arrest you for murder. Like, I would almost guarantee it. In Oakland, if that happened, if you were getting robbed by a person and they had a gun in their hand and they're not used to anybody ever fighting back, so they're probably being all careless about it, looking around. They're pointing a gun at you, and all of a sudden they look away, and then that's the last thing they ever look at. Well, yeah, you're probably going to go to jail for that. You're supposed to just be at the mercy of the robber and hope that they don't kill you. That's anarcho-tyranny. All right, I got more. That's Oakland. Oakland is like one of the most woke cities on earth. It's right next to Berkeley, right across the bay from San Francisco. Well, let's actually listen to some people from Oakland talk about this, because they're fed up too. So actually, yeah, let's go over to Lighton Woodhouse on Twitter here. Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, stand by. Oh, there it is. All right.
I just want to turn to the audience and ask them, who here has been assaulted, held up, or beat up? Just raise your hand. That's pretty sad. Okay. I have been held up in front of my house. I'm a fighter. I'm Irish. I don't put up with no BS. And I know that cop right there, I did Citizens Police Academy, and I did a ride-along one night, and I was appalled at how these cops were treated. You could pay, I'm a public school teacher. That's hard enough. But your job, you couldn't pay me enough to do that. I wrote you and your colleagues on May 20th about a shooting, don't look confused, on May 20th about a shooting that happened, that a bullet went through my neighbor's house. Not one of you responded. Not one. I'm gonna send that email again to you tonight. Okay? Oakland is out of control with the crime. I'm fed up. I'm absolutely fed up. We're all fed up because of you and your policies, and you call these criminals. They're criminals. I worked in Richmond for 10 years, and I see that cycle over and over again. You need to start telling people to stop having kids or have them if they're ready for them. Because I see kids that are not being taken.
That was based as hell, what she just said right there. Like, this is Oakland. People, this is encouraging. This is very encouraging coming from Californians. I think Californians are starting to realize that, okay, screw it. They're going to call me racist. They're going to call me sexist. They're going to call me transphobic. They're going to call me every bad name in the book, anti-vaxxer, all the stuff, a Putin puppet, whatever. People are just over it because so many people have been mislabeled with all these horrible names that it just doesn't carry any weight anymore. And people have just gotten to the point where they cannot tolerate their surroundings anymore. It's demoralizing, for lack of a better term.
Taken care of, they're not led by their own parents. Now, I'm asking you to let the cops start off giving tickets to low-level offenses, starting with license plates. Because I have it right here.
See, what's funny is I don't necessarily agree with her on that one.
This is California Vehicle Code, and I'm excited for you. Write it down.
Write it down. Write it down.
Vehicle Code 5201. Let the cops pull these people over. No license plate and tinted windows. You're not supposed to have. That's why all this stuff is happening. Because we didn't start by citing people for these low-level crimes. And don't tell me it's profiling, because you can't even see who's inside the car nowadays. And that needs to go. Vote these people out.
So this lady will be called a right-winger. She'll be called far right. She'll be called alt-right. She'll be called all the horrible names in the book. But who cares? Like, seriously, who cares anymore? I mean, everybody knows this is just, we're Californians, especially those of us that are from here, raised here. Like, no, this isn't the way. This isn't what the Californian values stand for. This has gone so far over the top, and yeah, almost everybody is fed up. And people say, "Oh, if they were, they would vote. They would vote differently." I think they do. I think, and you know what? YouTube came out today and changed their policy. I think there is voter fraud. Apparently, you can say that on YouTube now. Everybody knows mail-in ballots, provisional ballots. What do they call them when you're away? Whatever. Yeah, the provisional ballots. Those are the easiest ways to commit fraud. And California made it so everybody gets mailed a ballot now. No, who approved this? I don't think anybody wants this. And you used to have to apply for them to send you a provisional ballot. COVID's over. There's no reason for anybody to get mailed a ballot. Everybody should have to physically go somewhere. Yeah, prove who you are with an ID and vote. And make the left explain why voter ID laws are racist. That's the best way to prove how the left is racist, when you make them just ask them questions. Okay, go ahead. Explain how the voter ID laws are racist. Just make them explain. And they'll prove that they are in fact racist. All right. Enough of Oakland. There's plenty of anarcho-tyranny going on over there as well. But let's jump back over to the Bay. You saw everything that was going on in San Francisco. Put Oakland off to the side for now, but you saw everything that was going on in San Francisco. So let's see what London Breed has to say about all of this. She's got to have a response to the outcry of everyone in the city that's asking, that wants their car windows to stop being broken, wants rampant crime in all the retail stores to stop, wants VC's not on the ground anymore, needles, it's all the things that I just showed you. So let's go over to Betty Yu. She's a good follow for if you're Bay Area. Follow Betty Yu on Twitter, BETT_YU. Excellent reporter. This is London Breed gaslighting everybody.
And what's happening in San Francisco right now is a lot of fear and a lot of narrative and a lot of things that are trying to paint a picture of San Francisco and trying to write about and talk about our city in ways where it's casting a cloud, but it's feeding into a negative narrative about what San Francisco is. And with all the work that all of you do in your neighborhoods, in this city, and all over, you know there are challenges like any major city, but you also know that there are possibilities, that there are great things happening, that there are businesses opening, that there's work being.
This is crazy making word salad gaslighting. She just said businesses are opening. So we got Nordstrom's, we got Whole Foods, we got Amazon Prime. What was it? Was it Old Navy? All sorts of stores are closing down. Iconic stores are closing down in San Francisco. And she has the nerve to talk about how things are improving and businesses are opening. It's just straight up bold-faced lying to everyone.
Done. Will we be what we were before a global pandemic? No. But if I had told you in 2019 that we were going to be experiencing a global pandemic and we would have to shut the city down and we would still be able to
have to shut the city down. No, you didn't have to do any of the things that you did. It wasn't about saving lives. If it was about saving lives, you would be trying to save the lives on the streets dying every day still as you're speaking right now. You gaslighting narcissist.
to instantly set up testing sites and vaccination sites and food pantries and all of this stuff that we were able to come together and do, not in years, but in weeks and in months, you would have told me I was crazy. But here in San Francisco, what we were able to accomplish demonstrates what we are able to do in the city when we come together, what is possible, and how we need to think differently about things that we never thought about.
What is possible when the city comes together? When the city comes together, when the city comes together and says that in order to eat inside of a restaurant in San Francisco, you have to prove that you took an injection. They did that. San Francisco did that. They made it so businesses, private businesses, had to ask their customers for a vaccine card in order to eat food inside on their lunch break while they are working at locations in San Francisco. The nerve of this lady.
Before. So what is this budget about? This budget is about change. This budget is about thinking differently. We know the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We have to think differently. Everything can't just be a tax on the ballot, because everyone's trying to say retail is going away because of safety, but they're also going away because of the financial uncertainty and the layers of taxes that are also contributing to destroying the retail industry, and also because of online shopping and delivery. There are layers of things that are contributing to what is happening in stores.
Once you see people start using their hands all crazy like this for no apparent reason, gaslighting and lying. There's just zero accountability, zero. You know what, folks? We got some stuff wrong. And this is what we're going to do to fix those problems. And this is what we're going to do to make it not happen again in the future. Like, when people take accountability and say what they got wrong, how they're going to fix it, how they're going to keep doing it in the future, people respond well to that. People accept mistakes and admitting fault. But when you just continue to double down that this is all these outside circumstances, we didn't do anything wrong, COVID, the pandemic, taxes, even though taxes are your policies. So what are you talking about there, lady? Everybody's so tired of this crap because is there anyone that's listening to her that's buying any of this? Like, is there one single person that's looking at her and like, you know what, you're right, London Breed. That is why everything's so messed up. It has nothing to do with the policies that you have implemented. It's infuriating. It's crazy making. I don't know how the people of San Francisco deal with this. I'm 70 miles away. It drives me crazy because I got to go and work there. Man, I hate working in that city too. I hate it so much. But the parking enforcement's just absolutely insane. That's the Anarcho-Tyranny. The parking enforcement in San Francisco, what they will do to workers that are just trying to make a living and barely getting by, it's insane. Those people that drive around in little 3-wheel white carts and they wear the helmets, they are the spawn of Satan. I cannot stand them. They're absolutely evil. All right. Well, we heard about how the National Guard and the California Highway Patrol got deployed. Well, I think the only reason that happened is because of Brooke Jenkins. All this stuff would still be continuing if Chesa Boudin didn't get recalled and Brooke Jenkins come in and say, you know what, all right, I'm going to actually try to solve some of these problems here. And they brought in the National Guard. They brought in the California Highway Patrol. Let's listen to the capacity in which the Highway Patrol and National Guard are going to be brought in. So I got an article pulled up here, but there's a video of National Guardsmen and Highway Patrol talking about it. So let's go over to ABC 7, local news station here. Well, if I can find it, there it is. Alrighty. All right, let's listen to this gentleman talk. Oh, get some audio. Sorry, folks.
Drug dealers that are making all the
Learning more about San Francisco's new plan to crack down on drug dealers and combat the fentanyl crisis.
Our attention needs to be on the drug dealers that are making all this happen. And that is exactly where our focus will be.
San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott and Mayor London Breed joined California Highway Patrol, the California National Guard, and other city officials on Friday to offer more details on the new plan. Governor Gavin Newsom first announced it late last week, but there were many questions left unanswered.
What's the National Guard's role? What's the CHP's role?
We now know this coming Monday, May 1st, CHP will begin deploying officers to specific high crime areas of San Francisco, including the Tenderloin and south of Market.
Just the mere presence of our officers being there with the SFPD officers, we believe will help deter and disrupt criminal activity.
California National Guard Major General Matthew Beavers also explained their agency's role. He says they have a team of 14 National Guard members who will work behind the scenes to gather intelligence on cartels and drug trafficking.
What I want to do up front is dispel a lot of rumors that the California National Guard's presence in this is not going to be boots on the ground in San Francisco.
That comment in apparent response to concerns some have raised about the presence of the National Guard. San Francisco Supervisor Dean Preston called it a military intervention and said the effort is a way of, quote, declaring war on a diverse, low-income urban neighborhood.
Dean Preston is trash. Absolute trash. Every single time words come out of that horrible monster's mouth, it's just some sort of communist Marxist gobbledygook. Every time. He is an enemy of San Francisco, of the people of San Francisco. Anybody that votes for him is either out of their mind or somebody in somebody's pocket.
The press conference, we asked Mayor Breed how she responds to those concerned this could lead to another war on drugs.
We will continue to invest heavily in providing opportunities for people and second chances and all of those things, which is different from what was happening in the 80s. This is different. This is program services, second chances, opportunities, but also accountability. And what's been missing has been accountability, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, her own accountability. Yeah, well, all right. So they're going to, use the state to stamp this out. And I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the state, the way we do policing, all that stuff, but I can't change any of that. And if you're going to fix this, you have to use the resources available to you and the systems that are currently in place, unfortunately. And yeah, I would much rather this be done in a private way that the state doesn't have to get involved, especially the National Guard getting involved. But yeah, Dean Preston thinking there's going to be like National Guard on the streets of San Francisco. It's not. They're working behind the scenes doing, probably what freaking I'm doing, trolling Twitter and finding actual footage of the Honduran fentanyl dealers making deals, like documenting one by one all the people to go after. If they actually deploy the resources they have, allow the cops to do their job, and allow Brooke Jenkins to actually prosecute the drug dealers, they will make a dramatic improvement on the streets of San Francisco in a very short period of time. Like that will happen, and it is encouraging. The question is, will it come right back? Once they, get rid of 95% of the fentanyl dealers, and which will in turn get rid of a lot of, it'll get rid of the junkies passed out on the streets. It'll help make less of the trash that's everywhere. It'll help so much, but the question is, will it just go right back to where it was? So I don't know. That's yet to be seen, but they are actually deploying resources now. So that's encouraging. It seems like the community outcry finally got to somebody, but I don't think that's what this is. I think this is Brooke Jenkins came in and was like, all right, I'm going to actually try to fix this. And I have a feeling she's going to face some serious resistance to all of this. Like the resistance Elon Musk is facing, trying to have a free speech platform. Yeah. All right. This isn't really, I don't know. I don't even have the context of this next video, but it's just such a gnarly video, and it happened out in Sacramento. Can't really call it anarcho-tyranny, but you kind of can, because this kind of crap is happening all over the place now, and it seems that nobody ever gets arrested, and there isn't like actual punishment for this kind of crap. So this one's pretty gnarly. So headphone warning and trigger warning, because this is a rough one to watch. And I'll try to give any context that I have after I show the video. So headphone warning and trigger warning. This is tough to watch. Headphone warning.
No, he better not get up. Right here.
So yeah, that's horrific. Sacramento, California had a Jack in the Box. She even got away. It looks like she tried to run back in the building, and then the dudes held the door shut on her. Not victim blaming, but she should have continued towards the street, even if she had stuff still back in the store. She should have just get as much distance as you can. I mean, you're in a very dangerous situation there, and you ran right back into the pocket. That's just a bad move. But that kind of stuff happens so fast. You're not thinking clearly, and she was clearly terrified. This is, I mean, unacceptable is the only word I could really think to describe this right here. And you see videos like this a lot, and I don't get why people getting jumped, like hardcore jumped, beat really bad, is becoming so common and seemingly normalized. This isn't just like, oh, everything's caught on camera now. No, this is a drastic uptick in violence. This isn't, oh, there's just cameras everywhere now, there's everything sensationalized. No, California is out of control. It's absolutely out of control. I'm here and I go out there and I don't take shit from people. So I see the way people react. If you shoot somebody the wrong look on the freeway, they will flip out. People are crazy around here. People have lost their minds. It's been demoralized. Our society has been demoralized out here in California. It's been subverted. And people have been brainwashed to the point where it doesn't matter what you put in front of them. They're not going to admit that they were conned, on so many different levels. It doesn't matter what it is, the whole support. I support the current thing, whether it's the vaccines or the masks or Ukraine or gun control or whatever the current thing is. It's all weaponized. It's so frustrating that people just don't take 10% extra effort and just look a little bit past the surface level on all this stuff. But, okay, sorry. That was just ranting, but yeah, that was out there in Sacramento. And yeah, I think that's the last of the California stuff I have for tonight. This was, yeah, let me get to these last few stories. Well, actually, before I go to that one, I will go to, no, this will be the last California thing that I had for tonight. So I don't know if you guys heard that the LA Dodgers are having their whole thing for Pride honoring the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And these freaking weirdos are sick. I talked about them in my last stream, and they just completely mock the Christian faith all the time, and they're highly offensive towards Catholics and Christians. And well, the Dodgers are having them at the stadium for whatever, I don't know, but and I'm not a Dodger fan, I'm a Giants fan, so I used to be. Blake Trinan, who's a pitcher I've never heard of, he put out this statement. This takes balls. This is a pitcher for the Dodgers. I am disappointed to see the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence being honored as heroes at Dodger Stadium. Many of their performances are blasphemous, and their work only displays hate and mockery of Catholics and the Christian faith. I understand that playing baseball is a privilege and not a right. My convictions in Jesus Christ will always come first. Since I have been with the Dodgers, they have been at the forefront of supporting a wide variety of groups. However, inviting the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to perform disenfranchises a large community and promotes hate of Christians and people of faith. This single event alienates the fans and supporters of the Dodgers, Major League Baseball, and professional sports. People like baseball for its entertainment value and competition. The fans do not want propaganda or politics being forced on them. The debacle with Bud Light and Target should be a warning to companies and professional sports to stay true to their brand and leave the propaganda and politics off the field. I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins. I believe the word of God is true, and the Galatians, is that how you guys say it? Galatians 6:7. It says, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." This group only mocks Jesus Christ, the cornerstone of my faith, and I want to make it clear that I do not agree with nor support the decision of the Dodgers to honor the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Then he finishes with, "But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Joshua 24:15. So, I mean, that takes some serious balls, to come out and, just mad respect for that, especially after that Toronto Blue Jays guy comes out and just completely bends over, pun intended, for Pride Month. And so kudos to this dude. And the thing he said there about not wanting politics and propaganda jammed down your throat is absolutely right. But he's wrong about them learning, like, from Bud Light and from Target. Bud Light and Target didn't learn either. Like, that's this whole ESG, CEI crap. Like, it's all part of that. They don't care about driving their brand into the ground. They don't care about that at all. But anyway, all right. So kudos to that guy. Kudos to the Dodgers pitcher. But so enough with the subversion for the night. I did want to talk about the Jamie Foxx stuff really quick. So you guys heard Jamie Foxx has been out for months. The rumor is he had a stroke. A vaccine-induced stroke. He didn't want to take the vaccine. He had to take it for some movie set, a movie with Cameron Diaz. And, well, he did not react well to it. And, well, let's hear the latest on it because it sucks. Jamie Foxx, in my opinion, is the most talented man in Hollywood. And he's absolutely freaking brilliant. And, like, everything he touches turns to gold. He's amazing. He's truly amazing. And, well, let's hear the latest on it.
One of my best friends died last Saturday. Paratrooper, ex-Special Forces, 51 years old, in best shape of his life. I mean, lived life. You have no idea. Just goes to sleep, doesn't wake up. Black guy.
Oh, my.
I think that this ties into the Jamie Foxx theory. I worked my butt off to get a story about what happened to Jamie Foxx, because it was all baloney what they were reporting. He's playing pickleball. He's responding on Instagram. No, he's not. People do that for you. It's all lies. I had somebody in the room who let me know that Jamie had a blood clot in his brain after he got the shot. He did not want the shot, but the movie he was on, he was pressured to get it. This movie he's doing with Cameron Diaz. And I'm thinking, is that why he blew up on the set a week before this medical emergency happened? Is that why he fired 3 or 4 people because he just had it with these mandates? I don't know. But what I found out from the man in the room was that the blood clot in the brain caused him at that point to be partially paralyzed and blind. Because if you read into what they were saying early on, he's communicating with us. That doesn't mean talking. That could be anything. It could be, writing, sign. I know those little code words. And then when you tell me your father's playing pickleball, give me a break. I don't know.
Who can tell me what the hell is pickleball? Like, seriously, what the hell is pickleball? When I was a kid, I grew up playing pickle. We played pickle. It was never called pickleball. They call it pickleball, and where you guys are from, that's just weird to me. Who says pickleball? And what adult plays pickleball. What the hell's pickleball?
Multi-talented person we have in Hollywood. But even TMZ is not reporting this. And I know TMZ's got sources in hospitals who give them information, whether it's legal or not. But they're not. Mike Tyson got close. A week after I broke my story on my show, Mike Tyson said that Jamie had a blood clot in his brain. No one's gone that far to say that yet. I think Mike did, and he probably got a phone call.
Hold
and
on,
said,
AJ. Let me sort of to step back a little bit from what you're saying and just say, look, blood in the brain is a cerebral bleed. It's not a stroke. A stroke is a blood clot in an artery to the brain that cuts off the blood supply to the brain, and the brain dies. So we're talking about, and it's been widely known that he had a stroke, right? I mean, they've said stroke many times. Yeah. So it's to say it's a blood clot in the brain is sort of, it's a stroke. It's a blood clot in an artery that cuts off the supply. That part of the brain is dead. And it has very serious consequences. It depends on which artery and what the anatomy of that artery is, to what parts of the brain, whatnot. But it is not something that, I mean, let's put it this way. Is he still in the hospital? Is that what I'm supposed to believe? And playing pickleball? Is that? I
don't. It's all baloney. It's all baloney. The daughters are doing the speaking for him. His oldest daughter, Corinne, is doing the speaking. She said he's been out of the hospital for weeks.
All right, so clearly something's up with Jamie Foxx, and that sucks because, well, he's brilliant on the piano. He's a kind of amazing voice, obviously a great actor. I think he plays a bunch of different instruments. He's just, I mean, he's like a 1 in a million type guy. That he's so multi-talented and so brilliant. And if they, I can only imagine if something happened to me and I couldn't like run, just that. If they did something to Jamie Foxx and it cognitively affects him to where he can't even play the piano as good as he used to, that's one thing. I don't think he can play the piano at all. I think Jamie Foxx is fighting a battle right now. And how they're still being so secretive with all this stuff is amazing to me. It's like cat's out of the bag. People know. So I don't know. I'm going to be very curious to see what happens with Damar Hamlin, because they're trying to act like he's going to be playing again. And I don't know. I'm very curious to see what happens with Damar Hamlin and all of this. But I am super bummed about Jamie Foxx because he just always seemed like a good dude and a fan of the man. So that is kind of a bummer. All right. I just want to end this with a fun video that I saw earlier. And I watched this like 3 times because it's so freaking amazing. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. I'm going to play it anyway. I follow a bunch of these history channels on Twitter. And this is amazing, especially because I thought it was a man the whole time until the very end of the video. And I realized that it was a woman. And this is absolutely amazing. And I guarantee you, if you went back in time and spoke with this woman and you asked her what a woman is, she would be able to give you a very clear answer of what a woman is. And it wouldn't be too deep, intellectual of an idea. She'd be able to tell you right off the top of her head what a woman is without overcomplicating it. But anyway, let's watch this awesome wing walker replace a tire on an airplane. Ladies, what's stopping you from looking like this? I could watch that 100 times in a row. That is just spectacular. And then at the end, when I found out it was a woman the first time I watched it, that was just amazing. I imagine it has something to do with her weight, that she's so light and nimble, and it was those, the wings could only handle so much weight, and it was easier. Well, they needed a woman or somebody light to do it. So, but man, just the how there's just no hesitation, especially when she went from the one plane to the other plane. She just attacked the wing and just went for it. It's so amazing. We used to do big, great things. Yeah. Hard times make strong men. All right, folks. I think that's all I got for the evening. But I hope you enjoyed it. But study freaking Marx. Study Marx. Know what's going on right now. It's happening all around you. You'll see it everywhere you go. It's easy to recognize the words they use. Equity everywhere. It's not equality. It's definitely not the same thing. All right, folks. Well, you know how we do it. Let's end with a nice Chuck Norris joke on the night. I really hope we have a good one, because last week's wasn't funny, and I was really disappointed. So, all right. What do we got for this evening? Let's see. Okay, here we go. It is commonly known that Eve was created from the rib of Adam, but few know that Chuck Norris was actually created using Adam's genitals. And on that note, folks, stay CaliBased.